nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to meet you again.
I'm very happy to have the chance to do this interview with you. Let me start by asking a very simple question. Where have you born?
I was born in Nanning, Guangxi province, China.
Oh, that's far from Beijing?
Yes, in the south part in China.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And your parents were artists?
No, the ordinary person for the government.
Oh. So, when have you started to be so interested in art?
I think every children has a dream to be an artist. Me, the same. When
So,
I was a little
hmm,
boy, yes, I dreamed to be an artist.
and what kind of artists you were dreaming of?
What? Pardon?
What kind of artists were you dreaming of?
You see, for the art, for painting, there's a different style. Like Western artists, normally they used oil material, oil painting. But in China, we use the brush and the watercolor, like
Wow, nice.
very traditional Chinese painting. Uh, when I grown up, around about 9 years old or 10 years old, I, there in China, there is a moment called Cultural Revolution.
Yeah.
You know that? So at that time, young people were sent to the countryside. They have no other choice. So at that time, I was a little boy, very thin, and maybe I have no much strength to do a heavy labor work. So
Mm.
I think to be an artist, I could use my uh, technology to survival, to be sent to the countryside.
Yeah.
Also, at that time, I happened to get to know some friends who are artists. I was much influenced by the artist.
Great, great. So it's very difficult to use a brush in order to make artistic paintings.
Uh, you see, for the people, if uh, much familiar and skillful is not complex, it's maybe it's simple, but when I learned the study to paint, the more I learned, the more I understand. To be an artist is not an easy thing.
Hmm, I understand.
But
So what do your parents think of you being a young artist? What do your parents think seeing you behaving like an artist?
yeah, uh, my parents uh, they know that I am very love to be an artist, and through my time and energy and even lots of money in in learn in learning.
Hmm.
Uh, so they give me a lot of support. I remember one time they give me money to buy a new clothes. But I went to a gallery with my little friends, and we saw there is a lot of traditional Chinese paper selling at reducing price. It's not easy, you see. So I took the money not for clothing, but for the paper, because they're cheap. I could buy more paper to learn the painting. At that time, people, the salary from the parents not so so many. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. And when did you decide not to be an artist, but to start studying law?
Oh, yeah. I remember that one day I paint a very good painting, I think, from my grandfather. But right at the time, they were broadcasting that some artist was got much criticized, and there is a countryside. There is a moment that a lot of artists to be criticized, that they use their painting to do bad work according to the broadcasting at that time. So on hearing the broadcasting, my parents told me, "Oh, it's a danger to be an artist." So never again to be an artist. So it might be a destroy of my dream to be an artist. From that time, maybe in the end of the so-called Cultural Revolution around about last centuries, in the 70s.
And why then law?
Yeah. When I graduated from the law school, at the beginning, my major is legal philosophy. The philosophy thing is like an idea that hung on the sky, not communicate, not connection with the reality. So at that time, people told me that there is a new organ for copyright, that is National Copyright Administration, that set up a new organ in China. So I knocked the door of the administration asking for a position. So I'm lucky to get a position. From the legal philosophy, the major turn to the fields of copyright law. At that time, there is no copyright law in China. At the final stage to draft the copyright law.
But
in 1989.
But you started a normal study of law, including contract law, criminal law, and all these matters.
Yes, but at the beginning, like art law, start from the teaching of copyright law. I served for the National Copyright Administration to be official and participate the final stage of the drafting of copyright law in China. I get to know some of the artists, the professors, and experts in art. So when copyright law passed and enforced in 1991, that I was asked to give a teaching in Chinese Central Artist Academy. In 1994, I think, the very first course on copyright law and art law in China. That is a very beginning of art law in China.
Yeah, I understand. So, but you were a professor at the Chinese Academy for Social Science.
Yeah, after 5 years working for the copyright administration, I was invited and served for Chinese Academy of Social Sciences in 1994. Yeah.
So the beginning of the work was much to do with internet regulation.
Yeah. My branch and my office didn't much on intellectual property law. But I'm very happy in 2000 to see that we met in Münster the first time.
Yeah, that's true.
You told me, forget the intellectual property. Here in Münster, we're talking about information law. You see?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at that time, I tried to understand what information law is. And in between, we exchange ideas. I learned some ideas from you, and also I give you my ideas about the Chinese copyright law, information law, and art law. You see, at that time, you know, there is some Chinese copyright experts who teaching not only the copyright law, information law, but also art law. Remember?
I remember very well. It was fascinating to talk to you and exchange ideas. And let me ask you another question. How do you met Lego?
Lego?
Yeah.
You mean the case?
Yeah. I was really amazed that they have had so many contacts with Lego and they helped them in the court.
Yeah. At that time, you see, in 1994, I becoming a researcher at the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences. We are planned to be not only a research organ, but also we should participate some like a lawyer, like some do some real things in some law cases. So at that time, I was invited to be a lawyer at the Beijing law firm. So the law firm at that time, he met some problems that they have no, there is no, it has no lawyers to be presented
Yeah.
at the course. So they asked me to be the representative for the law firm in the course. So this is why I could to be an representative as a lawyer, as a plaintiff for legal. Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, the legal case is quite interesting. As I think you claim copyright protection for the legal pieces.
Yes, legal case relating some apply arts. You see, in Berne Convention, apply arts could be protected by copyright law. But according to Chinese copyright law, there is only one article that for foreign copyright holders of the apply arts, that according to the claimant's special article for foreign apply art and bring the suit at the Beijing Intermediate People's Courts. And we won the case. The first instance and the second instance.
Right.
Yeah, and at that time, the Chinese government thought this is a good case to show that the Chinese government will pay more attention to the protection of copyright, for even especially for foreign copyright holders. So this is a very typical case, and there is a Chinese government delegation who visited Europe to bring several cases, including this legal case, at that time to give the media to show the protection of copyright law in China.
Yeah. But we, I would say in Europe, we apply the principles of unfair competition law in the legal cases.
Yeah, there's an argument. The reason is that most of the bricks of legal is not get a patent, not registered as a copyright, because lots of bricks is not easy to get registered. So they go straight and a very simple way to copyright.
I see. When you were in Münster, you told me several times that the role of collecting societies is a problem in China. Is it still a problem today?
Nowadays, there is 5 copyright societies in China. Literary society, photograph society, film society, video and the video production society, a music society. In art fields, there is only photograph copyright society. why there is no the other artist society. You see, according to Chinese corporate law, there is not much a legal basis to collecting the royalty. You see, for the photograph, they can collecting the royalty from the textbook. That is the national education under the national education.
I see.
That,
but do you have a resale right in China?
Yeah, that's a very good question. You see, when I worked for National Copyright Administration, I happened to get to know there is a gratis way, like a resale right. And at that moment, I'm a young person. I love the art. And I think all the articles could give the help for the artist. That's good. At that time, I'm not very clear of what the resale right is. But I write an article for the chairman of the Chinese Artists Society, Mr. Zhou Lin. At that time in 1990, short after the copyright law passed, there is a seminar at Tiananmen Square. The artists, they gave a talk about how they feel and the ideas of the new copyright law in China. Most of the artists, they are very happy to have such copyright law. That for the first time that the artists have a place to give opinions, to argue. Before that, there is no legal basis, no arguments. So the artists are very happy. Right at that time, the chairman of the Chinese Artist Society, Zhou Lin, he took my article in his mouth that we are celebrating the new law and we're welcome. And there is one special article, resale right for artists. We should pay more attention to that. Nowadays, there is no article in Chinese copyright law, so we should pay some study and in order to see if this article, this rights could be introduced in Chinese copyright law. So me, from the mouth of the chairman, the first time to tell the Chinese people that there is a resale right. But you see, in 5 or 6 years ago, that there is a draft, an amendment of Chinese copyright law. The drafter, legislator, they intend to introduce such an article into the Chinese copyright law. But I asked some students follow me to do some investigations and at galleries, auction houses, and artists to collect the opinions from art market. But they told me, no, at this moment, the condition is not meet the importance of such a right. For instance, there is a lot of counterfeit, a lot of fake works in the market.
Mm.
At that time, at this moment, is not a good time to introduce such advice. Maybe later, maybe later.
Oh yeah.
So the beginning, I gave the idea of resale right, and finally, the draft passed according to my investigation. That's very
Okay.
interesting.
Very interesting. And you were talking about teaching to students in the art law. Where are you teaching and to whom? How many people are listening to you? How many students?
You see, I started teaching art law at the Central Art Academy in Beijing in 1994, and in 2006, the academy started to set a master degree for art law branch. So from 1994 to the start of the teaching of art law, and from 2006, there is a master degree students at the same.
Right.
Nowadays, there is 13 master degrees.
Wow, that's good. That's good. And how is the structure of teaching in general in China? Is the art law only taught by you or other colleagues at Wuhan or Shanghai?
Maybe me is one of the first pioneer in the teaching of art law, and maybe the earliest. But in the past 10 years or recent 10 years, there's Beijing University, Wuhan University, People's University, several Chinese law faculty and universities, they start teaching art law and also set up art law study center.
Oh, yeah.
That is why in 2019, we organized the first time International Art Forum in Beijing. Yeah,
That's good.
one of your doctorate students came and shared her experience and also your ideas of art law clinic. That's very good. Also, some experts from other universities in Germany, in Italy, and in United States come together in 2019. Yeah.
Well, great, great.
And last year, the second International Forum Art Law, and you join us.
Yeah, I know. That was very nice experience. And what is the reaction of the public towards art law? Do the people like art law? Is the public interested in art law? Is there an outcry of enthusiasm, applause, and people say it's good to have art law?
Yes. Just last month, we have a conference online on universities art law teaching. This conference, there is around about more than 20,000 audience.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Wow.
And I think outlaw ideas is becoming popular in China. And more professors, students, lawyers, and even the judges, they get to know the ideas of the outlaw and get to know the importance of the teaching.
Are there private companies who provide jobs in art law, like Sotheby's or Christie's?
My students has not the opportunities to serve for such a big name auctions, but they did some legal work for some companies, lawyers, law firms, and even you see there is a Forbidden City. Forbidden City, yes, the museum.
Yeah.
One of my students is legal staff for Forbidden City for the new items for the museum. How to, yeah.
And let me ask you, what happened to the young scholar who used a brush to paint? Is he using the brush again and becoming a little bit older? So are you painting right now with a brush?
You ask me or other artists?
You.
I try frequently. I use the brush to paint, but I have a lot of work at this moment, not very frequently. But I know some artists, they have a very smart idea and modern ideas to use the traditional brush and the traditional paper to paint new and modern artists. Maybe the end of this year or next year, there will be a very special year for China and Germany sign a contract. Is 50 years. 50 years.
Oh.
There is some celebration event. Maybe I recommended one or two what I think the very famous and the best, the traditional Chinese artist to Germany. Maybe later this year or next year there will be a special art exhibition in Germany. You could participate in the exhibition. We are just at a stage to the planning this.
And when you don't brush, and you only did it recently, you was using the photographs, the photo camera, still, Leica and Vogtländer.
Yeah, Vogtländer are much good for collection, and also use the big format.
Oh, yeah.
And also,
Great. Have you done photos with it?
What?
Have you done a photo with a big camera?
Yeah, Lina.
Wow.
Also, we take Polaroid.
Oh, yeah. Great. How many cameras do you have?
Me? Oh, lots. Yeah.
So we're coming to the end of the interview. Let me ask you questions which are traditional in my interviews. Can you make 3 recommendations for young lawyers? When you see the young lawyers, what are your 3 recommendations?
To pay more time, energy to connecting with the artist, try to understand the artist, try to understand the arts. Because you understand the arts, you get to know what is ugly, what is beauty, and what is right and what is wrong, and get you more freedom and more independent to be a person.
Great. That's a great end of the interview. You made such valuable recommendations. Special thanks to you. That was a charming and interesting interview. Thank you very, very much.